सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। Welcome everybody. So far we have discussed the first two sutras of Brahma Sutra. The first one being Athato Brahma Jignasa, which we said is like a preface to the whole scripture of Brahma Sutra, where the Sutrakara, sage Badarayana or Vedavyasa, proposes what it is that is going to be discussed in the scripture called Brahma Sutra. Athato Brahma Jignasa, Athataha Brahma Vicharah Kartavyah. Now we are going to proceed with deliberation upon Brahma. Kim Tad Brahma? What is the nature of that Brahman? Kim Lakshanam? Kim Lakshanakam Tad Brahma? What is Lakshanam or the unique characteristic of Brahma? That question arises when the Sutrakara says, now we proceed with the Vichara or deliberation upon Brahma. So a question that naturally arises, what is Brahman? Or what is Lakshanam of Brahman? What is the unique characteristic of Brahma? Therefore, the second sutra replied that question, Janmad Yasya Yataha. Tad Brahma. That is Brahman, from which is the Asya Jagataha Janmadi. Brahman is that from which is the Janmadi, the creation, sustenance, dissolution of Asya Jagataha, of this Jagat. Meaning that which is the cause of the creation. What kind of a cause? Well, the cause of creation, sustenance, dissolution. This refers to that statement of the Taittiriya Upanishad, which says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. That from which emerge all these beings, by which they are all sustained, unto which they go and merge back. Meaning that which is the Upadana Karanam or the material cause of the creation. Thus the second sutra presents Brahman as a cause of the creation, specifically as the material cause, Janmadi Asya Yataha, that from whom is the creation, sustenance, dissolution of this creation. But naturally, two causes are required for any creation, Upadana Karanam and Nimitta Karanam. Upadana Karanam, material cause. That is material cause from which the effect emerges. The clay is the material cause from which the product such as a pot emerges by clay by which it is sustained, ultimately unto which it goes back. So this is a typical definition of material cause. But we presume also this includes the efficient cause or the intelligent cause, because two causes are required for any creation such as a pot. Material cause, namely clay, and efficient cause, namely the pot maker. The material cause is insentient clay. The efficient cause, the pot maker, is a sentient or conscious being. These two make up the causes of this entity called pot. Is that also the case with the universe? There is two separate causes, that the material is different from the maker, the efficient cause. Vedanta says no. The maker, the material is not different from the maker. The material and maker are one. This is the uniqueness of Vedanta. And that is what establishes Advaitam or non-duality. Advaitiyatvam or non-duality of the universe, non-duality of the truth. Now, this is something very amazing. How can one entity be both the material cause, which is insentient, and efficient cause, which is a sentient or conscious being? How can one thing be both conscious as well as unconscious? That can be if both of these are the manifestations of something which is the basis of the two. So what we call the material, namely unconscious entity, Prakriti, and the efficient cause, the Purusha. Both of these are manifestations of which enjoys a reality higher than both Prakriti and Purusha, or the material cause and the efficient cause. That is Brahman. So Brahman is the very basis, the substratum of both the maker and the material, the efficient as well as the material cause. That was what was explained in the second sutra, Janmadhyasya. And that establishes a non-duality of Brahman. If the maker was different, the material was different, then there will be two realities, independent realities, which is what is called duality. But here, the maker and material, both of them, emerge from the one fundamental reality, which we call Brahman, consciousness, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. This was explained in the second sutra, Janmadhyasya. Then this is the third sutra that we are discussing now. On what basis do you say that Brahman is a cause of creation? What's the source of the knowledge that you have based on which you say that Brahman is the cause of creation? The Sutrakara, sage Badarayana or sage Vedavyasa replies, Shastrayonitvat. Shastram yunihi, yasyada shastra yunihi. Yunihi means a cause. Shastram yunihi, Shastra is a cause of which. So here we are told that Shastra, here it means Vedas. The yuni, the cause of the pramanam. So Vedas are the yoni or the authentic source of pramanam for which that is Brahman. Meaning that Brahman is known through the pramanam, the valid means of knowledge called the Vedas. Brahman is not knowable in any other way. Brahman is a transcendental reality, and transcendental reality means our own self-understand. Transcendental doesn't mean it's someplace else. You'll be surprised to understand that I am the transcendental reality. What is transcendental? That which cannot be objectified. Everything in the universe can be objectified, except one. Here remember an anecdote of our Puja Swami Ji. Some years ago when Puja Swami Ji was doing talks in United States, in Berkeley University, on the first day in the conclusion of the talk, Puja Swami Ji said, "Now I'll define God. I'll define truth," he said. And that is how the talk was concluded. Now, this is a place, that university is a place of, great minds. And one professor came to Puja Swamiji after this and said, "Swami, you said that you will define truth. God defined is God defiled." "Yes, I will define truth." "Please tell me how you define. Come tomorrow." So, please tell me something. Okay. Satyam, truth is called Satyam in Vedanta. What is Satyam? Abhaditam Satyam. What is truth? That which cannot be negated. That professor was flabbergasted. So, wow. He went home, went back, but came next day before the talk. Said, "Swamiji, you said that truth is that which cannot be negated. I thought about it the whole night. But everything can be negated. If truth is that which cannot be negated, it leaves nothing." So I said, "Don't worry, I'll explain to you." No, please tell me right now. I'm going to come to the class, lecture, but you please tell me now. Says, Swami said, you cannot negate the one who negates. The very negator cannot be negated. Satyam is abhaditam. Truth is that which cannot be negated. And who is that? There's only one entity, the negator, the very self. Thus Vedanta teaches that Brahman, that is the cause of creation, has to be the very self, because anything that is different from self or Atma or I is of the nature of consciousness. Everything other than I is unconscious. Anything that you objectify such as a part is going to be an unconscious entity. The only conscious being is the self. And therefore, Brahman cannot be something that can be objectified. Brahman has to be my very name, my very self. Shastrayonitvat. So that's the reason why Brahman cannot be known through any other means of knowledge. The self cannot become the object of knowledge by all commonly available means of knowledge to us. See, the most common means of knowledge that we have is called perception. What we perceive through our sense organs. We have 5 organs of perception with which we perceive the 5-fold objects of the world. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. The sound, the touch, the form or the color, the taste and the smell. So these are the 5 objects of the world which we know through the 5 organs of perception: organ of hearing, organ of touch, the eyes, organ of taste and smell. These are the means of knowledge that we have. This is called perception. And from that we also, something that we do not see immediately, like we see the smoke from which we infer the presence of fire, that's called inference. So perception, inference, presumption, comparison, the other means of knowledge that we are all based on perception. Perception is called pratyaksham. From that there is anumanam, upamanam, arthapatti, anupalabdhi. All of these are based on pratyaksha, perception. And everything in the universe can be known through one or the other means of knowledge that we have, except the very knower. Brahman, that is the nature of the very knower, cannot become the object of perception. Cannot be seen, cannot be touched, cannot be tasted, cannot be smelled, cannot be heard. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, avyayam, tatharasam, nitya gandhamavatyat. That's what Kathopanishad also says. So we do not have really any means of knowing Brahman and means of knowing self, means of knowing God. The reason why God is always a debatable entity is because God, which is Brahman here, cannot become the object of knowledge by the means of knowledge available to us, including our own mind or intellect. Because the mind or intellect also gathers all its information through organs of perception. So the thoughts of the mind are all based on some or the other object out there, or a combination of them. And so Brahman, which people call transcendental reality, is not transcendental, does not mean something separated from me in space and time, is out there somewhere else in some other time. It can only be known after death and not before death. No, that is not what is meant by transcendental here. What is meant by transcendental is the very objectifier. The one who negates everything cannot be negated. If satyam or truth means abadhitam, only one entity is abadhitam, cannot be negated, and that is the very negator, the very self. That happens to be the truth. And we have no means of knowledge for knowing this truth. Then what's the means of knowledge? Shastrayonitvat. Shastra, the Vedas, are the yoni, the means, the pramanam. Vedas are the pramanam for knowing Brahman, for knowing self. Even Swamiji, Vedas can objectify Brahman. Vedas can reveal, can bring Brahman to manifestation. Vedas can make Brahman as the object of my perception. No. Vedas means Shabda. In Vedanta, the expression Shabda Pramanam. Shabda means the statement of the Vedas, statement of the Upanishads are the Praman, the means of knowledge. But Swamiji, Shabda or the words, they can only reveal something that is paroksha, something that is indirect. Shabda can never. If you describe something, it cannot give you immediate knowledge. It gives you only paroksha jnanam, indirect knowledge. That is true. And still, Shabda also can give you direct or immediate knowledge. As in case of our 10th man in Vedanta, that is his famous story of the 10th man, where the 10th men were traveling, they crossed the river, and then the leader of them decided to verify all of them reached safely, counted them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey, we were 10 when we left, now we are 9. So they thought, each one of them came forward and counted one after the other, and they concluded that one of them is lost. What's a way of finding the 10th man? They search for the whole day looking for the 10th man. Can they find? Who is it that they are looking for? Who is the 10th man they are looking for? The one looking for himself is the 10th man. How can he ever find? They were all disappointed. Seated under a tree, very sad. What shall we tell the parents of this lost boy? Fortunately for them, an elderly gentleman was passing by. He saw these children were all sad. He said, "Hey, children, why are you sad?" Then the leader got up and told the story how one of them is lost. How did you decide that? How did you determine that one of you is lost? I counted them. Show me. He asked his friends to line up and counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See, there are 9. I will tell you where the 10th man is. Oh, have you seen the 10th man? Yes, I have seen. Now, let them line up in front of you and count again carefully. So when that old gentleman said this, now a trust was created in this boy, so he knows. He says he has seen the 10th boy, he knows. So now all with anxiety was gone that at least he is there someplace. Maybe he has seen him someplace. Says, now count again carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Where is the 10th man? You are the 10th man. Thus, in life, one is looking for one's own self. But then, 10th man cannot become the object of search for the 10th man, meaning that 10th man can be obtained only by the words, by the Upadesha. 10th man cannot be achieved or found out through search, the process of search. 10th man can only be achieved, attained by the words Upadesha. You are the 10th man. Because the 10th man is already there. The one who is looking for the 10th man is the 10th man. In Vedanta, they say 10th one is already accomplished. It is the accomplishment of what is already accomplished. And therefore, 10th man cannot become the object of search. He cannot be achieved by process of searching. He can be achieved only by the Upadesha, because he is already achieved. The one who is searching for himself is the 10th man. Here also, this is called words or sentence. You are the 10th man. Similarly also, you and I are all searching in our life. For what, Swami? We are searching for happiness. Simple. I want happiness. I want peace. I want love. I want the world to give me happiness. I want the world to give me peace. I want the world to give me love. And more often than not, we are frustrated in that process. We cannot achieve what is already achieved. Happiness is not something to acquire. Happiness is something to be given. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna teaches how you can become happy by giving happiness. How you experience love is by giving love. Because happiness is my nature. Love is my nature. And still I do not know. Even though happiness is my nature, I still feel unhappy. Very strange. The love is my nature, still I feel that I'm devoid of love. Peace is my nature, still I feel restless. Happiness is my nature, I feel unhappy. That's a very strange phenomenon in our life. Why is it so? If happiness is my nature, why do I feel unhappy? Vedanta explains that it's called ignorance. There is something called ignorance in our life. This is a typical example of ignorance. The one, that is I, who is the embodiment of happiness, feels unhappy, takes himself unhappy. That is what ignorance does. Ignorance here is not just the absence of knowledge. Ignorance has two aspects. In Vedanta, these aspects are called avarana and vikshepa. Avarana means veiling the true nature of something. Vikshepa, creating just the contrary conclusion about that. And thus ignorance of self means not knowing the true nature of self, not knowing that I am Brahman, not knowing that I am limitless, I am complete, I am whole, and taking myself to be a Jivatma, a limited entity, a helpless, hapless creature. That is the conclusion that each one of us has about ourselves. There is no occasion or no reason to question that conclusion. So that conclusion is taken for granted, and based on that, I am searching for happiness. The 10th man has concluded that 10th man is lost, and based on that conclusion, he is searching for the 10th man. In our life also, we have concluded that happiness is something different from me. I am incomplete by nature, inadequate by nature, or to become adequate, to become complete. I am unhappy by nature, to become happy. This is the conclusion born of ignorance. But why is ignorance, Swamiji? I don't know. There is no cause that we can assign to ignorance. Ignorance or avidya or jnanam is the cause of everything. But why ignorance? Vedanta does not have an answer. Vedanta does not claim to give answer to every question. And why ignorance? I don't know. Why darkness? I don't know. It's there. To bring in light to dispel the darkness. So also to bring in knowledge to dispel ignorance in our life. And first of all, I have to be made to understand that there is something called ignorance in my life. That I am searching for something which is already my nature. But Swamiji, I feel unhappy. I feel miserable. How can you say happiness is my nature? Well, the question is, what do you like? What do you love? You love happiness. So it has to be because the love for self is natural. And furthermore, when we feel happy, our conclusion is that happiness has come from some object other than myself. But if you ask you a question, when you feel happy, do you find happiness entering yourself from outside? Or do you find happiness emerging from the self? When you feel happy, you feel that happiness comes from outside somewhere, but it bubbles up from inside. When we feel happy, we experience that happiness comes from within. And still we conclude that it has come from without. That is why we require Vedanta to make us understand what our true nature is. And there are moments. It is not that we necessarily feel happy when we have an object of happiness. There are times when we find ourselves happy for no reason. Just cool breeze makes me happy. Rising sun makes me happy. A beautiful moon, pink moon makes me unhappy. Makes me happy. Very often we find ourselves being happy for no particular reason. And that moment shows that happiness is really my nature. And again, to resort to the teaching of Vedanta, we have to accept that we feel relaxed and happy when we are fast asleep. Unfortunately, when we are asleep, we are not aware that we are experiencing peace or happiness. But when we wake up in the morning, we do feel refreshed. And I'm always looking forward to the experience of happiness. Even this young son, mother says, time to go to school. Every day going to school, mom. Every day khichdi. Every day rice. That son or daughter, they do not ask, every day going to sleep? No. Very happy to go to sleep. We look forward to that experience. And we are reluctant to come out of that experience. The alarm clock always gets banged because we hate to come out of that experience of sleep. All of these show that in sleep we experience freedom, we experience peace, we experience happiness. And in sleep I don't have anything particular to experience really. When I'm fast asleep, all there is myself. And still I'm happy. That shows that happiness is my nature, because there is no source of happiness other than myself. But Swami, if that is so, why don't I always feel happy if happiness is my nature? Because when I wake up, I take myself to be such and such. I identify the body, I identify with the mind, take myself as a limited being. And when I take myself as a limited being, I feel unhappy. In deep sleep, there is no identification. There is nothing to make me feel limited, and therefore I am happy, which is my true nature. Meaning that the sense of limitation that we feel about ourselves, and that is the cause of our unhappiness. I feel unhappy whenever I find myself limited. Feel unhappy when I find myself helpless. I feel unhappy when I find myself inadequate. That's what happens most of the time in the waking state. All those factors which make me feel inadequate, make me feel limited, make me feel helpless, all those factors are absent when I'm fast asleep. At that time, I truly experience myself. The Upanishad also says that to us, explains that to us. So how in deep sleep we experience Ananda, which is our nature. And so Ananda is my nature. But as though deprived of it because of ignorance, this ignorance has to go. Shastrayonitvat. How will the ignorance go? Like the 10th man's ignorance goes only when he is taught, you are the 10th man. And so also ignorance of my nature, that I am Brahman, I am whole and complete, goes only when the Shastra tells me, Tattvamasi, that thou art, you are Brahman. And that is the source of this knowledge. Not that I become Brahman. Shastra does not make me Brahman. Shastra does not make Atma Brahman. Atma is Brahman. I am Brahman. Unfortunately, I take his body to be the self. And body is limited in every way. Because of identification of the body, I take myself to be a limited, helpless, insignificant being. Body also includes mind, intellect, they are all limited. That's what ignorance does, brings about identification with what I am not. I don't know. I don't know why I feel unhappy. My conclusion is I'm unhappy because I don't have a given thing. Therefore, I'm in search of acquiring that which I think lack of which is the cause of unhappiness. But I think that I'm happy because I have something. I want to get rid of that. These are two things going on in my life: acquiring and giving up. Both of them arising from the conclusion that happiness is different from me. Shastrayonitvat, that is where Shastra comes. Teaches me. But Swamiji, you said that Atma cannot be objectified. How can one Shastra's words objectify Atma? Thank God, Atma does not have to be objectified. Everything other than Atma, everything other than self needs to be objectified for me to know. Meaning that I cannot know this part unless it becomes an object of my perception. But I do not need to objectify myself. Do I not know that I am? Do I need somebody else to tell me that Swamiji, you exist? Do I need somebody else to tell me, Swamiji, you are a conscious being? No. That I am and that I am conscious is what we call self-revealing. Atma is, am is Atma, conscious is Atma. In Vedanta I would say, Asti bhati priyam. Ahamasmi sada bhami kadachinnaham priyah Brahma ivahamata siddham Satchidananda lakshanam. Just drawing our attention to our day-to-day experience. Ahamasmi, that I am, I know. Sadabhami, that I am conscious. Kadachinnaham priya, I never hate myself, never dislike the self. Asti bhati priyam satchit ananda is my nature. It is very evident even from my experience. That's what the Upanishad says. That is your nature. You are Satchidananda. But because I have concluded that I am a mortal being, I am an ignorant being, I am a limited being, I am a lacking, wanting being, and that conclusion is so strong that I need to be told. Just a 10th man believes that the 10th man is lost. He needs to be told that you are the 10th man. So also I need to be told that you are Asti Bhati Priyam. You are Satchit Ananda. You are Sat existence, Chit consciousness, Ananda happiness, wholeness. That is your nature. Whatever else you think about yourself is the product of ignorance. And thus, the words of Shastra can reveal the nature of Atma. Really, Atma or the self, being consciousness, is always revealed. I always know. I always experience myself. Is it not so? I always know that I am. I always know that I am alive, I am conscious. Meaning that Sat, Chit, Ananda, Atma is always the object of my knowledge. So it is not that I do not have experience of Atma. I always experience Atma because Atma cannot but be experienced. Atma is consciousness, self-revealing. The first thing I experience, and then alone any other experience can take place. So we don't have to create an experience of Atma. We will understand the experience that we have. So it's not that Upanishad creates an experience of Atma. We already have. Upanishad explains that experience that we have by saying that, look, in your experience, these two elements are involved, Atma and Anatma. Atma is self-revealing, and they are always experienced. Anatma, the body, the mind, the sense organs, they are also experienced, except that Atma is experienced as a very subject. Anatma is experience as object. And on account of my not paying attention to this fact, that even though I experience Atma and Anatma together, Atma is experienced as the self, subject. Anatma is experienced as the object. That is why in Vedanta they teach us Atma, Anatma, Viveka, the discrimination, separation of the Atma from Anatma. Shastrayonitvat. That's why Shastra becomes Pramanam. Meaning words of scripture lead me. Not that I require Atma to be experienced or Atma to be revealed. I need to understand Atma, recognize what I am experiencing. In this particular case, Shastra is Pramanam not by revealing Atma. This word Pramanam, Pramakaranam Pramanam. Prama means valid knowledge. Pramakaranam, the means of valid knowledge, called Pramanam. For example, the means by which I know this object, this part in my hand, is my eyes. It is the eyes that I see this object. So in case of knowing this color and form, the eyes are the pramanam, the valid means of knowledge. And thus we have 5 organs of perception, and they are pramanam for each unique objects. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. In this case, the pramanam reveals the object. Eyes reveal the object called part. Ears reveal the sound. And thus every organ of perception reveals its respective object. That's the pramanam. So pramanam is that which reveals its respective object. Shastra is called pramanam for Atma. Shastrayonitvat. Shastra is pramanam for Atma. Does it mean Shastra reveals Atma? No. Atma is self-revealing. Does not require anything, even Vedas also, even God also to reveal, because I know I am. Then what's the role of Shastra, Swamiji? The role of Shastra is to recognize what it is that I'm experiencing. To help me understand that I am lumping together this Atma and Anatma. The subject and object are lumped together, and I conclude that I am a limited entity. Shastra helps me. It enables me to recognize Anatma as Anatma, Drishya as Drishya, object as object, and subject as subject. And thus, remove or negate or recognize Anatma as Anatma and eliminate that from my consciousness. And recognize myself. I don't have to eliminate it, but as long as when I recognize Anatma as Anatma, it doesn't matter whether I experience it or not. That is self-revealing, always experienced by me, the experiencer, the very nature of experiencer is the self. So Shastra does not reveal Atma. Shastra helps me recognize the nature of Atma that I am already experiencing. Shastrayonitvat. Here the word yoni is explained as pramanam. Shastra is a means of knowing Atma, means of knowing Brahman. But between you and me, that pramanam is not like the eyes revealing this part. Shastras do not reveal Atma because Atma doesn't require to reveal, it is always self-revealing. Shastra helps me to recognize what I am experiencing. We already have experience, and Shastra helps me recognize what I'm experiencing, understand my experience. That in my experience, these two entities are lumped together, the Atma and Anatma. Recognize Anatma as object of perception or object of knowledge or object of awareness. And Atma, the self, is a very awareness. That is how Shastra becomes a pramanam, the means of knowledge, not in a conventional sense. By revealing Atma, which is normally what a pramanam does, in this case, it is pramanam by helping me to recognize the nature of Atma, which is already revealed, self-revealed. Recognize the nature of Atma. That I am consciousness by nature. I am consciousness that I am. The I has no dimension. My essential nature is I am. That's all I am. Ahamasmi, I am. I'm ever conscious. It is in the waking moments. Ahamasmi, asmi, bhami, priyam, asti, bhati, priyam, satchit, ananda. That is my nature. Anything else is all anatma. When I recognize that, the Shastra by the Upadesha, Tattvamasi, that thou art. You are that Brahman, you are Satchidananda, which you have concluded that is different from you. Brahman is not different from you, it is your very self, Tattvamasi, or Aham Brahmasmi. So this Shastra means all this Mahavakya of the Upanishads. There are major statements or Mahavakyas which enable us to recognize the true nature of ourselves. And we need to be told. Because like the 10th man, as he concluded the 10th man is lost, I also concluded that I'm unhappy. Happiness is different from me. Happiness has to be acquired. That is when Shastra teaches me what is happiness. Happiness is consciousness. And that's what you already are. And this is how I am made to understand what my essential nature is. The Shastra or Vedas, in this case Upanishads, become the yoni or the pramanam, the means of knowledge of the self. And like the 10th man had to be taught, also need a teacher who has to reveal this to me. There's no way that I can myself recognize. Why is it so? Because I already concluded that I'm a limited being. I concluded that I'm limited, I'm inadequate, I'm unhappy. Just that the 10th man has concluded that I'm not 10th man. Therefore, somebody has to point out to me where I am making the fundamental mistake. And that is where a teacher is required. This knowledge of self cannot be attained without a guru. Any other knowledge can be attained. Knowledge of non-self, all objective sciences, you can discover them yourself. But here, because you already concluded that I am limited, that I am inadequate, you conclude that the happiness is other than myself. And no experience question that conclusion. It seems all experiences I have only confound that conclusion, firm up that conclusion. I'm unhappy as I find myself to be. I become happy when I get some object of happiness, and so happiness comes from outside. Not realizing that doesn't come from outside, something that is obstructing that happiness becomes removed. Vedanta teaches that our own mind, which is under influence of raga, dveshas, attachment and aversion, becomes an obstacle to experiencing my own happiness. And when I get something that I like, it momentarily eliminates that desire, eliminates that craving, eliminates raga, dveshas, and reveals what is. I have concluded happiness has come from somewhere else. If happiness always is revealed, and what the object of happiness does is to remove the obstacle which obstructs the experience of happiness. We need a teacher to point out all this. There is no way that I would question my own conclusions. And this is what the teacher does. That takes up conclusion one by one and enables me to see where I am committing an error, how my conclusions are false. Shastrayonitvat. There is another explanation also given of this sutra. Shastrayoni, shastrasya yoni is Shashti Tatpurusha Samasa, by which we explained this, gave the explanation so far. Other way to explain is Shastram Yoni Yasya Tat Shastra Yoni. Shastra is the yoni or cause of which, or the pramanam for which. No, Shastra is the yoni, meaning that Shastrasya yoni, that is yoni of the Shastra, which is the source of the Shastra. First, Shastram yoni yasya, Shastra pramanam for which. Second explanation is Shastrasya yoni, which is the source of Shastra. Meaning Brahman or Ishvara is the source of Shastra. The Shastra called Veda is not something composed by somebody. People often ask this question, Swamiji, who wrote these Vedas? Did the rishis write these mantras? No. Mantras were all revealed to them. Vedas are a revealed scripture, not a scripture that is composed. And the Upanishad gives a very beautiful example to explain. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a statement which says, Asya mahato bhutasya nishvasitam yadrug vedaha yudvedaha samveda sarvangirasaha, etc. What we call Shastra as Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Tharaveda. Asya mahato bhutasya nishvasitam. It's like Nishvas, out-breath of this great being. Great being means Paramatma. Shastra of the form of the Vedas is like the out-breath of Paramatma. Understand the example here. Nishvasitam, out-breath. The Purusha of the person is not the author of the out-breath, meaning that out-breath happens on its own. I do not have the will by, it's not a willful action that I breathe out. Breathing out is a natural action. Meaning that when the Upanishad says the Vedas are like the outbreath of that great being of the Paramatma, it means that Vedas are not composed by Paramatma even. They are not composed by any, they are ever existing. And they emerge from Paramatma in the beginning of the cycle of creation. Again merge back, emerge. But they are not created. So Vedas are considered eternal. And therefore they are pramanam, a valid means of knowledge. because they are not the product of, they are not Paurushaya. Vedas called Apaurushaya. Paurushaya, the product of the Purusha Buddhi, the product of the human mind. And human mind has many limitations. Therefore, if Vedas were also the product of human mind or any mind, it would also have those limitations. It can be nirdosham pramanam, it can be pramanam free of all defects. Like eyes are pramanam for colors and forms, so also Vedas are pramanam for the truth. Because Vedas have emerged from Ishvara, like the out-breath, meaning that Ishvara also has not composed the Vedas. They are not a product of the mind of Ishvara also, they emerge on their own. That is why Vedas are considered pramanam, because they are not product of the human intellect or any other intellect. They are not Paurushaya, they are Apaurushaya. So this is a way the Sutra is explained. Shastrayonitvat. Shastra is the yoni, the pramanam for Brahman. Shastrayonitvat. Brahman is the very source of Shastra, not by having composed the Shastra, but Brahman is source in the sense that the Shastra or Vedas emerge from Brahman like the out-breath of a person. These are the two explanations of this sutra, the third sutra, Shastrayonitvat. With that, we conclude our discussion. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.